What's up, Ripple Effect? Hope you guys are having an awesome first night in your houses. And don't worry, I'm not gonna sit here and bore you to death with a super long video. We're gonna try to keep it like 5 to 10 minutes. And we're gonna keep it short for a specific reason. We're gonna keep it short because we really want you guys to spend time getting to know each other tonight. And we're doing that not just because we think that you guys could be really great friends, but because we really believe that community is super important. We really believe that real community is an extension of the church. And I'm gonna talk about that really quick. If you were here last week, you know, we recapped how we ended last year talking about Branded was the name of the series. And we talked about kind of how we all have this reaction to different brands. And not only do we have a reaction to brands, but we also have a reaction to the church, right? And not just the church, but we have a reaction to Christians. We have reactions to Jesus. And that's true for everybody. And kind of what we talked about is how maybe some people's reaction to the church and reaction to Jesus and reaction to us isn't all that great. And we talked about kind of how we can change that and what we want our brand to be. So as you noticed last week, we got a new brand, and now we kind of have a chance, like we got a new logo and we have a chance to kind of help people rethink about that and change the way maybe what people think whenever they see Jesus, what people think whenever they see the church, what people think whenever they see Ripple Effect, right? If you remember, we picked 3 words. It was worship, community, and serve. And last week we talked about worship and how it has to be more than just a song. It has to be a posture that we live our lives from. And tonight we're gonna talk about community. Next week we'll talk about serve. But like I said before, community is a real extension of the church. And let me tell you what I mean by that. Here's the deal. We all have friends. We all have a squad. We all have people we hang out with, whatever you want to call it. The people that we really want to be around. And by default, that comes with the opposite. There's people that we don't want to be around. There's people that we don't want to hang out with, people that we aren't like, whatever else. But the truth is that as Christians, we're called to be around and to love both of those parties. Like, we're called to be around the people and love the people that we want to be around and that are like us. But we're also called to love the people and be around the people who aren't like us and who maybe we don't really want to be around. And that's the reason, like, as followers of Christ, we're called into community. That's why we do REgroups. That's why we do Ripple Effect. That's why we do small groups, is so that we can have that space where we have like that group of real friends and those real believers that we can do life with and we can open up with. And it's not really just enough to just be friends, right? We have to be real and we have to be honest and we have to be open with them. And not only are we called to do that, but we're also called to be with the lost, right? Like the people who don't know Jesus, the people who don't, come to church or don't, believe the things that we believe. So here's the deal. Usually whenever it comes to community, we make one of 2 mistakes, and I'm just gonna hit them and explain them really quick. The first mistake that we make that's really easy to make as a follower of Christ, as a Christian, and honestly, we do this, even people who aren't believers do this all the time, and it's damaging to both. So even if you're an atheist, this still makes sense for you to listen to. We only hang out, the first mistake we make is we only hang out with people that are like us. We only hang out with people who dress like we do, talk like we do, act like we do, believe like we do. And the only group of like friends that we really hang around is that core group that loves the things that we love. And what that really does is it sets you up to be super closed-minded. And sure, we know other people, right? If you're sitting there thinking like, oh, I'm not like that, I have plenty of friends. The truth is that, like, yeah, we might know other people, but all we really do is say what's up to them in the hallway, right? Like, we don't really hang out with them. We don't really get into life with them. So I would urge you to like really look at the people that you hang out with. Are they really like you? And what about the people that you think, do you really know them, or do you kind of just say what's up to them passing by in the hallway? But whenever we do this, whenever we hang out with people who are just like us, we tend to become closed-minded, we become judgmental, we write others off and their opinions off before we ever get to know them. We can't see how other people think, and it really makes it difficult to kind of walk with people who aren't like us. It's easy to become judgmental and to become closed-minded in our thinking and not consider the thoughts and views of others. So that's the first mistake we really make. The second mistake we make is the exact opposite. And this is probably the one that I was most guilty of and am most guilty of, is that we look at the kids who are like, who make the other mistake, that only hang out with the people that are like them, and we think, man, those kids are the worst. I can't stand those Bible thumping whatever. And we decide that we're not gonna hang out with those kids at all. right? And instead of only hanging out with people that are like us and that believe like us, we alienate ourselves from people who aren't like us. And we alienate ourselves from people who believe like us and who are like us. We alienate ourselves from other Christians because we don't want to be associated kind of with the brand that they have. We alienate ourselves from people who believe like us and who thinks the same things that we think, but we do it because we see them as closed-minded, right? So, and it's easy to do that in the name of being inclusive. It's like, I don't want to hang out with those people because they're so judgmental of others. So, but in the name of being inclusive, we end up being really exclusive, and we don't hang out with the Christians. We don't hang out with the kids who believe like us because we don't want to be like them, right? And I get that. I understand that. And we do stuff, we do this stuff like we go to parties, right? We go to parties and we hang out with people that we probably shouldn't hang out with as long as we don't do anything bad, right? And we do it for the sake of telling them about Jesus and the sake of hanging out with them and the sake of spending time with them. But what we lack, what we end up missing out whenever we do that is we miss having that Christ-centered community. We miss having those people who walk in our beliefs with us and who walk and who keep us accountable to the things that we should do and give us a place to be real and that feeds us spiritually. Whenever we go to parties and we don't do anything bad, or we're constantly hanging out with that crew that we probably shouldn't hang out with, but we don't do the stuff that we do. We either put ourselves in a place of temptation or we show that we approve of certain behaviors just by being around them. And that what that does is it really discounts your ability to disciple people, because like if I'm the person that even though I'm a Christian, I still hang around all these really bad people. Whenever it comes time to get real with the bad people, or whatever you want to call them, with the people that party or whatever you want to call them, it's hard to do that because you were at the party last night too, right? Even if you weren't drinking, it's hard to point people to Jesus whenever you were at the girl at the party last night, anyways. So what do you do with both of these tensions, right? The first mistake being I either only hang out with people that are like me, or the second mistake being I don't want to hang out with the other Christian people, right? What do you do? Do you become like a social hermit and move to China? Yes, that's exactly what you do. Just kidding. The truth is that the healthy place to be is somewhere right in the middle, right? We need to have that core group of people that we walk with, that we're real with, that we're honest with, that believe like we believe, that pour into us, right? And we also need to have the people who aren't like us, the people who don't agree with us, the people who don't believe what we believe. But never at the expense of our morals, never at the expense of temptation, or at the expense of doing things that we shouldn't do. So we want to have that group of friends, that small group, the people that you can be real with and that you can open up with. But we also want to have people in our lives that aren't like us and that we can be pouring into, and the people that we can be loving the way that Christ loved us. And that doesn't mean that we do it with an agenda, right? It's not like I'm going to go befriend that person so I can tell them about Jesus, right? But you just be in a relationship with people and love people the way that Christ loved us. And they don't even have to know that's what you're doing, right? You just do it, right? And people will know that there's something different about you. So I hope I was able to squeeze some good stuff into 10 minutes or so. And I'm so thankful that you guys sat here and listened to me. And I'll be looking forward to see you next week.